Hi, thank you for joining us. This is the nonprofit partnership, and you are viewing our video on YouTube, or we have already posted on Facebook as well. So thank you for watching today. My name is Carolina Quezada. I'm with the nonprofit partnership, and we're bringing you another issue of our video journal series titled Our Stories, Our Time. Here we interview nonprofit leaders to understand how the COVID-19 pandemic is affecting their work, their programs, and their services. We fully understand that keeping connected to one another really matters now more than ever, and not just as family members, neighbors, and friends, but also as colleagues and peers in the nonprofit community. Today, we are really lucky to be joined by our friend Julie Lee, Executive Director of Urban Outreach in Long Beach. Julie, Urban Community Outreach. Sorry about that. I almost forgot the total title there. Julie, welcome. We're so glad to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Carolina. Glad to be here.
I know these are really busy times for you, so we really appreciate you joining us. So Julie, for those folks who don't know about Urban Community Outreach, can you tell us a little bit more about the work that you do, the services you offer, who you serve?
Sure. We are a nonprofit in downtown Long Beach. We're at 241 Cedar, which is the First Congregational Church campus. We've been there since 2006, and what we do is we serve people who are experiencing homelessness and others in need. We provide a community center on Sunday afternoons because back in 2006, it was right after the main library closed, and some of the members of the church realized that people who have no homes to go to had nowhere to be on Sunday afternoons. So they opened up their church campus, and in 2008, we became incorporated as a 501c3. And since then, we've evolved. We do all aspects of case management in addition to our Sunday drop-in center. So our goal for everybody is not only to provide them some respite and food on Sundays, but we also have our computer lab, our volunteer medical staff, we have clothing giveaways, we have other resources we provide on Sunday afternoons, but during the week, more importantly, we try to get people into housing, and we work with them very closely in their efforts to gain stability in housing.
And usually or normally, how many clients are you serving?
On Sunday afternoons, we have anywhere from 150 to over 200 people come to us in the afternoon. And then during the week, our case management load, it's just myself and one other staff person during the week. And we juggle anywhere from 10 to 24 clients, because we not only follow them into moving into their permanent home, we also do case management after they've moved in. So we do a lot of follow-up and home visits with them as well.
And I would imagine that depending on the needs of each individual and each family, you are providing case management and services for different lengths of time. Is that right?
Correct. And just a whole host of activities. It could be as simple as, helping them order their birth certificate online, to physically taking them to an appointment, or helping them fill out forms. And then, the final step is trying to find an apartment that best fits their need.
So we've all been hit by this pandemic. Tell us about what urban community outreach has been dealing with in the last several weeks. How have your services changed, or your service delivery? Give us a picture of what's changed for you.
Okay. Well, everything has changed from an operational standpoint, and administratively and financially. Everything has changed since the pandemic was declared, and Long Beach declared its crisis emergency crisis. So we are not permitted to have a community center on Sunday afternoons. What we do now on Sunday afternoons is we provide to-go lunches and grocery packs for people who are housed. So since the closures of all non-essential businesses, thankfully we're designated as an essential service because of the population we serve. So we are able to still continue our work. So we have been providing 170 to over 200 lunches to go on Sunday afternoons. What we do in trying to comply with the COVID-19 rules, we physically hand them sanitation or sanitized wipes before we give them their lunches. We do allow them access to our restrooms one at a time during the period that we're open. And otherwise, we're just distributing the lunches to go. And then we have about a dozen families who rely on us for grocery packs. So we have those also boxed up to go. And so from an operational standpoint, that's what our Sunday afternoons look like. So we no longer have our computer center. We no longer have our volunteer medical services. And we don't have any other activities occurring except for the lunches and the groceries. And then during the week, where my staff and I were actively meeting with people and talking to people, in various capacities, we are doing everything over the phone and via email. And that is sort of presents a series of barriers for us, because a lot of our people don't have internet wherever they are, because they used to go to the library to access internet. So a lot of times I can't email them because
Right.
they have no way to open the email. So we've had to be creative in the way we text. Sometimes we do the phones, and a lot of times also their phone service isn't all that sophisticated. So we've had to sort of slow down the process a little bit to make sure that we're communicating as well as we can with the people that we need to talk to. And so we've, every day we're just trying to get to our list of people, whether we're doing a home visit, we're calling them at home to make sure that they have enough food and that they're okay, or we're trying to, find somebody who's still out on the streets and trying to communicate with them as best we can and still try to move them through the process of gaining housing.
So far, Julie, what are some of the stories you're hearing from the clients you're serving as you are doing outreach to them?
Well, it's amazing because the people we serve are used to certain level of compassion from some of the places that offer food, and some of those places have closed. But at the same time, they've also shown their resilience in adapting to the situation. I don't hear a lot of complaints, but I have observed that our population looks a little dirtier and definitely a bit hungrier. It seems that some of the resources, some of the food pantries have closed for various reasons during this time, and our people have just had to be more resourceful. So every Sunday we do hand out an updated resource guide where they can get food on other days and where they can get other resources. And we always try to send people to the multi-service center to try to get connected to the shelters if they want to go into the winter shelters that are still open. So we're seeing a lot of adaptation from our population also.
Yeah. Well, a lot of what we've been hearing about locally as well are nonprofits that are really trying to collaborate with other organizations that maybe they haven't really collaborated with before, or the collaboration is a little bit more intense right now. And I would assume that in your line of work, in your business, your stakeholders or your partners in this work, you've probably come even closer together. Can you talk to us a little bit more about what you're seeing as far as collaboration with other organizations? Maybe there's more of it or different kinds of collaboration. Can you paint a picture for us as to what you're experiencing there?
Yes, you are so right, Carolina. We are working closer together with our partners. You know, there's several of us who serve the same population. You know, we have shared clients. And so in order to better serve our clients, we have been talking more, especially in terms of trying to get the donations to the people who need them the most. I've been coordinating with the COA. I've been coordinating with St. Luke's. I've been coordinating, of course, with the city and trying to just make sure we all continue to best serve this population who are more in need now than ever. So I actually see this awful pandemic as maybe having a little silver lining in that maybe we can all work better together to address homelessness in ways that we didn't before, because of the health concerns, our goal has changed a little bit in that we want everybody to come inside, right? It's not safe for anybody to be outside because of this COVID-19. So maybe we have this window right now where we can all work together and get everybody off the street. And then in that process of having these temporary shelters come up, we can work on permanently getting these people off the streets and really addressing homelessness as it is, right? And look at solutions. Let's not just work on food. Let's go beyond food and get them off the streets. Because for us, for my staff and I and the board, our board and our volunteers, our bottom line is we don't feel anybody deserves to be homeless. I mean, that's, you know, for us, it makes no sense to think that anybody deserves to live out on the streets. So this could be an opportunity, you know, to use our resources and use our problem solving skills and let's get this problem solved.
I really appreciate your comment there about, you know, looking at as grueling and challenging as the work is right now, but, you know, trying to really look at some of the silver linings in all of this. Have there been conversations that are starting now with between you and perhaps other organizations where you are talking about what could this look like after, you know, the pandemic? Or maybe these conversations haven't quite started yet, but I think you can see maybe a different kind of strategy building come about when things start to come back a bit more.
Right. We have this, I don't know if I'm sure you all know about it. It's the Everyone In by United Way. And we have our local United Way efforts here. And that's been their focus, is to get everyone in. So they have definitely tried to engage all of us into the broader concept of everyone in. It used to be that we were just talking about some people in, but now we're really talking about everyone in. And so I think the United Way and the city and others and the county especially, I think they're all, you know, we're all trying to figure out, okay, how can we do this? You know, we've got 90 days where we're going to try to get everybody in, but beyond those 90 days, let's figure out, you know, that's a pretty good chunk of time that we can figure things out. So definitely the conversations have begun. We just have to evaluate some of the options.
Yes. Well, thanks for letting us in on that a bit more. Earlier, you mentioned your staff, and of course, we're always curious to see how staff teams are navigating through these changes. Talk to us about what your staff is experiencing right now.
Well, they've been great. It used to be that with our drop-in center on Sundays, we relied on 30 to 50 volunteers every Sunday to help us. Well, we can't do that anymore because one, we don't have the drop-in center and we don't have that need. But so I have a skeleton staff of 4 of us, 2 who are in the kitchen and 2, myself and another person who are still trying to talk to people who come on Sundays to get quick updates. And then we have 5 people who are part of our cleanup crew. So basically the 9 of us, we're doing the 200 lunches and a dozen or so grocery packs. And so we're wearing a lot of hats, but at the same time, we're sort of, every Sunday after it's done, we sort of have to pat ourselves on the back because we did it. And
it's another Sunday you just survived right there.
Yeah. And then during the week, my other staff, when we're talking to people, it's just adjusting and trying, it's not getting frustrated with the phone tags and just trying to get people. It's hard because a lot of our clients, because they're used to talking to us face to face, it is very difficult to adjust just to phone calls.
Yeah.
And it's also difficult because it was easier when we could say, okay, could you meet me at the Mark Twain Library at 2:00? And then they would be there. But now when we say, okay, we're going to call you at 2:00, they sometimes don't answer for whatever reason. So we're just adjusting to how to best maintain communication.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, and you guys probably know better than I do, we've definitely been trying to be more creative in how we do our fundraising.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, because we were supposed to have our annual gala at the end of this month.
That's right.
And we're not having it, and I'm not sure when we'll reschedule. We all want it to be rescheduled, and we have live auction items, we have silent auction items, we have things that are already in the pipeline, and it's just, I don't know when people are going to be in the mood to come to a 150-person dinner, sit-down dinner, and bid on silent auction, bid on live auction items, actually. And some of these live auction items are trips. So it's been great because we have a lot of longtime donors, and I've reached out to some of them, and they have been so good about supporting us. And I've also reached out to some of our foundation donors to let them know just how, because pretty much as soon as the shutdown was declared, we had just gotten maybe a handful of RSVPs. It completely stopped. The mail completely stopped. The checks stopped coming. So, we've been just notifying some of our funders what's happened, and the response has been pretty good so far.
Good. I'm really glad to hear that. And the scenario that you're illustrating right now is one where we have been hearing quite a bit about what nonprofits are trying to do to really make up for that, especially because so many of them were in the middle of getting ready to launch a big event. And some of the major shifts they've had to employ on that. But it's good to hear that you have been getting some really good responses from some of your funders, your donors. Hopefully that will continue with the other patrons that we're going to attend, and maybe some of these.
Yeah, we are fortunate in that we have a reserve fund. So for the first month of the shutdown, we've tapped into the reserve fund, and we're fine. It's just we can't do that, for much longer. And so it's nice that it looks like we won't have to for a bit now. So
yeah. Julie, before our interview today, I got a chance to go to your website, and I really, really appreciate the fact that you are keeping a blog post. And I think that that's such a great way of letting folks know, where you are at, what some of the current challenges are at the moment, and what you're doing about what you're facing. So, for example, I know you had in one of your latest posts, you talked about the event, which I think is a derby, right?
Right.
Your
Kentucky
annual
Derby.
derby. That's right, the Kentucky Derby. So you're really trying to make an effort to keep everyone posted on what's happening. On there as well, I noticed you also have a wish list. Do you want to talk a little bit about your wish list?
Yes. So every week it sort of changes. We have a great partnership with Food Finders, and they've been really good about still trying to get us deliveries from the local grocery stores. But unfortunately, during this time, some of the grocery stores are completely out of certain things. And since we're only doing to-go lunches and grocery packs, we no longer need 200 bell peppers or 5 boxes of celery. And so for the first couple of weeks, we could not find any sliced bread. Food Finders could not find any sliced bread. So those are some of the things we need, like sliced bread, sandwich meat, little to-go snacks, and waters. We couldn't find any waters to give to people. And so now it's been great because some of our donors, instead of sending a donation, they've been out there looking for sliced bread for us. We do a food drive on Saturday mornings because we feed on Sunday. So on Saturday mornings, we have people who will drop off fruit or whatever they think would be appropriate to go in a sack lunch. And it's been great. It really warms my heart to see the response, because I had people who were taking sliced bread out of their freezers for us.
Wow.
It was great. I didn't want anybody to go to the store because they weren't at the store, and I didn't really want people to go out if they did. So a lot of people, it was just getting stuff they had that we can pass on to our clients.
Wow, what a story. So some of your own supporters are looking to see how they can pitch in personally, and it's not just about the monetary support, it's also about some of these in-kind donations of items. What are you finding you're still, and I'm sure the list is long, Julie, but what would you like to particularly make an appeal for?
Well, we have run out of sanitizing wipes that I was giving out to everybody. But I think what we're going to end up using is baby wipes. And then we still have a lot of that gel, the Purell, because their hands are fairly dirty, so I can't just give them Purell. So we're going to give them baby wipes and then follow it up with the Purell. I think that's going to work. So if we had sanitizing wipes, that would be great, but it seems like there's a short supply of them. We just ran out last Sunday. And then we have a shortage of masks. We ran out last Sunday, but I think tomorrow some of the neighborhood people are going to bring us some homemade masks for our staff and for our clients. Our clients have been asking for masks, and we haven't had any to spare. So I'm hoping that we can pass some of the masks to our homeless clients and protect them also.
Yes. So Julie, visiting your website, is that really the best way to just kind of keep connected to what you're doing? And
yes, definitely. Yes. So we update that on a weekly basis pretty much now. So we try to keep things current. And then, like I said, we have this ongoing food drive Saturday mornings that people have been responding to. So that's nice.
Are there any particular type of collaborations that you think urban community outreach can benefit from at this point? Maybe organizations or sectors you'd like to work with a little bit more to just get through this?
Well, I would. One of the things that we have started because of this crisis is we received a grant from the Long Beach Emergency Relief Fund through the Community
Yes.
Foundation, and it's specifically for rent assistance to prevent homelessness for people who have been impacted by the shutdown. So I have been talking to people who went from just barely making their monthly payments of rent and other basic needs to an income of zero almost. So I would love to collaborate with somebody to figure out how we can address, even during the recovery, right, of this income problem that we're going to have.
Right.
Because these people, and surprisingly, I've talked to people from their 30s to their 70s, and they have to show me what their financial statements are for the last couple of months. And they all have, I see bank statements with, I don't know, 57 cents in them. And I don't know how these people are going to maintain their apartments when some of them have jobs that will be completely eliminated. You know, they're not going to come back. This one woman, she cleaned the double-deck party bus. Her
Yes.
job was to clean them, and she made over $2,000 a month doing that. Well, I'm pretty sure that double-decker party company is not going to bounce right back, right? And so I'm not, you know, I've been referring these people to employment agencies, to the Pacific Gateway, to try to get them to start thinking about how they're gonna recover their income. And it's so I would love to partner with somebody who can help figure out how we're going to sustain the income of some of these people who lived literally check to check. You know,
And that's a great point you made. I recently came across an email not long ago where I believe there's a Long Beach Coalition for Economic Justice or something along those lines. So I think having that convening of like-minded organizations and resources to try and see, look, these are the pathways we may need to start supporting, or the short-term and long-term strategies for that. Gosh, I would love to follow up with you on that to see if, we could perhaps support some kind of convening or conversation around those things. But
okay.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Carolina, that would be great if you could do that. Yeah, I'm there.
Recorded, so I think you just got me on that one. So switching gears a little bit, Julie, the self-care, as we're having these conversations with nonprofit professionals throughout, the topic of self-care obviously comes up, and in particular for organizations like yours. I mean, you're still in the trenches. You're doing this work. What do you see your staff do, or what do you promote as a self-care approach for your staff? And then I think we would really like to hear what you do for self-care as well.
Okay. I talk to my staff every day, and I always tell them, yes, what we do is important, but at the same time, I need you to take care of yourself. I need you to understand that your family still comes first, and balance is our goal in everything, right? And so from my standpoint, they know I still have my weekly meditation group. We do it on Zoom. And my meditation teacher has been so good about that. And then I have a Pilates class that we've been together for 5 years, and the teacher has been great. She does that with us for 3 times a week on Zoom. And then there's 4 people living in our house. So I have my family to remind me every day what our priorities are. And then 2 dogs. The dogs, I promote animals as service for people who have no disability. Like for us, for our family, our dogs are mental health dogs, because without them, we would just be too edgy.
Yeah.
You know, they take the edge off of us. And so, however people can soften their edges, I'm all for that. But I definitely firmly believe that you need to distract yourself from your work, especially when the work that we do, when people they're just so desperate and the problem is just so big. And one of the other things I do, which my coach taught me last year, was I keep a journal on my bedside, and before I go to bed, I write 3 things that happened today that I'm grateful for, or that made me smile. Anything, it could be just which I did yesterday, walk the dogs in the rain. It can be something pretty trivial, but it still made you happy. So just write it down. And that way you can look. Her point was that way you can look and see, oh my gosh, there were a lot of good things that happened. Because sometimes some of the bad things that we have to deal with weigh us down, and you have to balance.
Absolutely. Balance is the key we've been hearing from so many others, and not underestimating the importance of actually keeping and honoring those commitments you make to yourself. So as an example, the meditation, right? The sessions you do is very important. Julie, we so appreciate your time today. And, I think before we let you go, we once again want to turn it over to you and ask you, is there any kind of message that you'd like to share with your other nonprofit peers or your other peers in service that you wanna part with?
I encourage them all to use this time where we're all challenged every day to meet the needs of the people that we serve, but to use this time to maybe pivot and figure out what the future can look like. And it might be different than the past, and it might be better in many ways. So I encourage people to just reflect on what it is that's happened right now and how we may be able to improve things in the future.
And I should say that if there's a strong message embedded in this conversation here today, is that, I think you gave some really great examples of where this can go now, where some of the coalition building in our local community, where we can focus some of those resources as well. So Julie, thank you. We're so appreciative of the work that you and your team do every single day. Thank you for that. And thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to join us.
Great. Thanks, Carolina. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Okay, everyone. Thanks again. We look forward